الحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. أما بعد فقال الله تعالى: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله تعالى وأحسن الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. ثم أما بعد رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. My dear brothers and sisters, I wish to share with you, and myself first and foremost, a reminder about dreaming big. A reminder about having great goals. A reminder that collective wisdom has come to agree that if you reach high, if you have high goals, then you will have a very high achievement as well. Whether you achieve your actual goal or not, you will achieve a lot. And the Prophet ﷺ was number one in this. And he taught us that when you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for Jannah, don't just ask Him to have your foot in the door of Jannah, but ask Him for the highest level of Jannah, al-Firdaus al-A'la. Don't settle for anything less. And the Prophet ﷺ throughout his life, during the toughest periods of his time, he was teaching his companions to think big and to reach high. And when at times they were starving, at times when they were starving and they were under the threat of death by an army, the Prophet ﷺ was telling them that one day you will conquer the Roman Empire. One day you will conquer the Persian Empire, which was completely unimaginable at the time. But when a person thinks big, they achieve big as well. And today, I wish to share with you an episode from the history of Islam in such a practice, the practice of thinking big and then as a result achieving big. The city that we are talking about today is the great city of Istanbul, which is now called Istanbul, which used to be called the city of Constantinople, which was the capital of the Byzantine Empire. There used to be two Roman empires, the Eastern Roman Empire and the Western Roman Empire. This was the Eastern Roman Empire and the capital of it was Constantinople. The Muslims, the Ottoman Empire, was situated right around the city of Constantinople. And they continued one after another to try to gain more territory, but the city of Constantinople was too difficult to conquer. Now, why did they want to conquer the city? This goes back to the time of the Prophet ﷺ, that the Prophet ﷺ said, لَتُفْتَحَنَّ الْقُسْطَنْطِينِيَّةِ فَلَنِعْمَ الْأَمِيرُ أَمِيرُهَا وَلَنِعْمَ الْجَيْشُ ذَلِكَ الْجَيْشُ. The Prophet ﷺ said, verily you shall conquer Constantinople. You will indeed conquer Constantinople. What a wonderful leader will be its leader, and what a wonderful army would be that army. From this hadith, every Muslim leader that had any morality and that had goals of big goals, they would know this hadith and they wanted to do something about Constantinople. And last night we talked about Abu Ayyub al-Ansari radiallahu anhu, who went in an army under Muawiyah radiallahu anhu to try to conquer the city of Constantinople, and they did not succeed, but Abu Ayyub al-Ansari did not want to come back, and he asked the Sahaba to bury him as close to the walls of Constantinople as they could, and that's exactly what they did, and today he is within the city of Constantinople, within the city of Istanbul. The Prophet ﷺ, he said that the Amir that would be this Amir would be a great Amir. He praised him. And that army would be a great, wonderful army. And the Prophet ﷺ also said that this Amir would have the name of a prophet. He would bear the name of a prophet. So after Muawiyah radiallahu anhu, there was another one of the Khulafa whose name was Sulaiman ibn Abdul Malik. And he thought that perhaps I am that Amir because his name is Sulaiman, the name of a prophet of Allah, Sulaiman alayhi salam. So he sent an army, but they did not succeed. And after that time, the Muslims generally felt that this city was too difficult to conquer, and many others did not try to bother. Until 1432, there was a sultan in the Ottoman Empire by the name of Sultan Murad. And he had a son. And he named his son Muhammad. And he had a teacher, one of the best scholars at the time. He asked that teacher to dedicate his entire time to be with his son Muhammad because he is going to be the leader of the Muslims. It is very important to teach him the right manners, the science, the Islam and everything. And that's exactly what the Shaykh did. He became a hafiz of the Quran, this sultan, this young boy Muhammad. He became a hafiz of the Quran. He knew the Quran and Hadith and its meanings. He was a scholar. And he knew mathematics and astronomy and warfare. And he spoke more than 5 languages. Basically, he got the best education that he could get. He was trained by his father because leadership requires training. And you see all across the history that great leaders received some type of training when they were much younger. When they were not fully in that position, they were receiving some type of training. And we have the example of that in Musa alayhi salam growing up in the house of Fir'aun. Yusuf alayhi salam growing up in the house of Aziz. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam growing up in the house of Abdul Muttalib, who was the leader of Quraysh. So his father appointed him the Amir of a small emirate. And he said, you are the Amir. And he gave him this is a young boy at this time, 10, 12 years old. And his father gave him major scholars to assist him, to teach him strategy, how to rule the people, how to deal with the people and the problems that come with ruling. And he learned very well. The special teacher that he had was Shaykh Shamsuddin, who shaped his character and instilled in him the love of Islam. And he is the one that taught him this hadith. He said, do you know, young boy, Muhammad? The Prophet ﷺ said, this city right there, the Ottomans were right across the border from Constantinople. He said, do you know, Muhammad, this city, the Prophet ﷺ praised the leader who will conquer this city, and the army that conquers the city. Do you know, Muhammad, the Prophet ﷺ said that Amir would have the name of a prophet. Muhammad, you have the name of a prophet. You will be that Amir. And this boy learned to love this idea that he will be the Amir that will conquer the city of Constantinople. At the age of 19, he became not the Amir, but now he became the Sultan. And as soon as he became the Sultan at the age of 19, which wasn't his doing, but what he did after is his doing. He became the Amir, and he was obsessed with conquering the city of Constantinople. And that is all he would talk about. So what he did is that he started preparation, because preparation is important. You can't just go and do something big without having prepared for it. There was a famous American personality who said that if I'm given 8 hours to chop down a tree, I will spend 6 hours sharpening my axe. A lot of times, a lot of the endeavors that we as Muslims take, we don't prepare for it well enough, and that's why they fail. They say that if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. So Sultan Muhammad, he prepared for this. One of the first things they did is that they went as close to as possible to the Constantinople's walls on the other side of the river, and they built a fortress, a castle over there. And this castle was designed to block any ships from passing. So they imposed a weapons embargo. Any ship that would come in, they would be inspected by the Ottomans, and to make sure that there are no weapons going into Constantinople, in order to lower the supply of weapons which is available in the city. And they built this, and Sultan Muhammad himself took part in building this, and as they were building it, they had to use shields, because the Romans were from the other side shooting arrows at them. However, they knew that this was an important step. He also acquired an expert cannon maker, like none other. And this cannon maker built for Sultan Muhammad a special cannon, like the like of which had never been built before. At its muzzle, it was 6 feet long. At 6 feet long, and its cannonball was 1.5 tons. 1.5 ton cannonball. And it was designed to shoot cannonballs into the wall, which was one of the strongest walls the world had ever seen. So they built this cannon, and he amassed an army of 265,000 soldiers. And once they started the attack, Sultan Muhammad ordered a cannon to be constantly firing on the wall. And the boom of this cannon could be heard, and it was raising the morale of the Muslims and lowering the morale of the other army. And what he would do, as he was an expert in war strategy, and that's what he had been learning all along, is that he would switch the tactics. He would be doing a certain attack, and all of a sudden he would completely stop. And they were wondering, what is he going to do next? Where is he going to come from next? And he would completely switch strategy in order to surprise them. Now he needed to get his ships inside the golden crown, the golden horn, which was the side of Constantinople where he needed to have soldiers there to get close to the wall. And the only way to do that was to have ships come in on that side. But what the Romans had done is that they had built a chain that went across the river. And that chain, if any ships came through, that chain would rip the ship apart. But when their own ships would come, they would lower the chain into the water so that the ship would pass on top of it. And then they would tighten the chain so it is sitting right above the water. So any ships that come, it will be broken and damaged as a result of this chain, and no ships could enter. Now Sultan Muhammad needed to get his ships in. And this is where one of the most genius ideas that he ever came up with, he came up with that. Which is that he decided that we need to get across this chain. They say desperate times call for desperate measures. Something we have to think about. If we have a problem, for example, in the masjid, that kids make a lot of noise, we have to think of new ways, because old ways are clearly not working. So what can we do? There is definitely an answer. Where is that answer? What is that answer? It is there. For every problem that there is a solution. There is a solution, we just have to look for it and work hard towards it. So Sultan Muhammad came up with an idea that they cut down trees and they laid them in a track and they poured oil on it, and they brought ships and they tied them up with ropes and with oxen, and they actually dragged those ships on top of those tracks of the trees that were oiled, and they actually brought the ships overland onto that track, dragged them over to the other side of the chain and put them back in the water. When the Romans saw this was over. Because this was the unimaginable thing that he did. And as soon as that happened, the morale went down, and the cannon was constantly firing, the attack was ready, and on one day, on the 29th of May, in 1453, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave Sultan Muhammad the victory, and he was able to enter Constantinople as a victorious sultan. At this time, he was 22 years old. Parents, what are your 22-year-olds doing? TV, video games. I am much above that age. And I feel embarrassed when I read the stories of these people, that what did they do at their age, and what have we done in our age? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq. When he entered the city, he went to the Hagia Sophia, which was a church at the time. And he went there and he converted that into a masjid. And the people had gathered there, similar to the scene when the Prophet ﷺ entered Mecca. The people are gathered by the Kaaba. And they're worried that now there's going to be beheadings. There are going to be killings. He's going to kill whoever did not support him. And he came and he prayed 2 rak'at. And he thanked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that he gave him this victory. And gave him the status of being that Amir that the Prophet ﷺ had talked about. And then he said to all of these people, he said that I am Sultan Muhammad, and I would like to tell you that you, your brothers, and all the people that are present, that your lives and freedom are protected. And he turned Hagia Sophia into a masjid, and he changed the city, the name of the city from Constantinople to Istanbul, the city of Islam. However, as time passed, and people who did not like the idea of Istanbul to be a place of Islam, they twisted the name so that it became Istanbul. The name that he had given it was Istanbul. Sultan Muhammad became the blessed Amir, and from then on he is now known as Sultan Muhammad al-Fatih, the conqueror. And if you go to Turkey, which I had the pleasure of going in 2014, almost every second person that you meet, his name is Fatih. Because he is their greatest hero. He is their greatest hero. He wasn't just a one-trick pony. He also conquered Serbia, and Greece, and Romania, and Albania, and Bosnia-Herzegovina. And he intended to conquer the Western Roman Empire as well. He intended to conquer Italy and Rome itself. And he began preparations for it. And he started sending weaponry over there. And the Western Roman Empire was very, very worried about this. While this preparation was going on, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wished for the time of death of Sultan Muhammad to come. And he passed away, rahimahullah. The day that he passed away, in all of the churches in the Western Roman Empire, including the Pope himself, they celebrated that day. They celebrated that day that this man has now died, so now we are safe. Otherwise, had he lived, then we would have lost our empire as well. He established the Quran and Sunnah as a base of the constitution in the Ottoman Empire, which continued on for 4 centuries in Turkey and the Ottoman Empire. He established 300 masajid, 192 of them in Istanbul itself. He established 57 schools. He was a great poet and a reader. And he loved knowledge and his people. And he invited all scholars from all over the world to come and live in Istanbul because he loved the company of scholars and he wanted his city to be a city of knowledge and ilm. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the tawfiq to bring people like Sultan Muhammad al-Fatih. And obviously when we read about him, this is not all that his life had in it. He wasn't a perfect human being. Of course he made mistakes. Every person makes mistakes. But what we learn is that we focus on the positives of a person. And if his positives are much, much bigger than his negatives, then we don't focus on those negatives. We focus on those positives. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the tawfiq to follow the example of great people like that as well. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, nashhadu an la ilaha illa ant, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, wa salatu wa salamu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'een. What are some of the lessons that we can learn from this story, this great story of Sultan Muhammad al-Fatih? Number one is that it is important to dream big. And don't let anybody turn your dreams down. Don't take no for an answer. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that, Ya Allah, this is what I wish. And I will try my best. And you, O Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, have success in your hand. It's our job to try. And it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us victory. Or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may wish that for somebody else. But we try. But most great things did not happen by themselves. It was probably one person before that was trying hard, and they laid the groundwork, but they did not make it. But then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent somebody else to continue that work from there, and they were able to achieve that dream. Does that mean that that first person did not get the reward of it? Of course not. He got the full reward of it. On the Day of Judgment, he will come and he will see, you know what, I was trying to do this, I never got to see this, but it was done, and it is there in my record of good deeds. So we have to dream big when it comes to our communities, when it comes to our ummah, when it comes to our family, when it comes to our children. We shouldn't just dream for our children to have a highly educated position and a highly paid position and a job that they can live comfortably. That's a very low goal. Think about what type of legacy you can leave with your children. You could make your child the next Sultan Muhammad al-Fatih. The Prophet ﷺ said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends every 100 years a reviver of this deen. Our goal should be that my child will be that reviver. If I can't be that reviver, then my child will be that reviver. Have a big goal. Maybe he wouldn't be that 100% reviver of the entire ummah, but maybe he can revive the entire ummah in North America. Maybe he can revive the entire ummah in the Western world. But we need to have a big goal, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept them. But in order for us to have our goals and to meet them, we also need to work hard and work smart. We need to work hard, but we need to make sure that we're not working hard and not smart. We need to work smart as well. We need to put our resources where they really matter and where they actually work. They say that 20% of your efforts bring 80% of your results. And 80% of your effort only bring 20% of your results. So what we should focus on is focus on that 20% which is really working and bringing 80% in order to increase that. And we need to keep working and never give up. Plan and organize well. Plan and organize well. Look at the plan of Sultan Muhammad with regards to ships and weapons that he was amassing. Not only he was increasing their weaponry and the technology, he was trying to decrease theirs at the same time so that he would have an advantage at war. And here is my question to the parents. Parents, can you give this ummah 50% of Sultan Muhammad al-Fatih? Can you give this ummah 10%? In your child, can you make him just 10% of what Sultan Muhammad al-Fatih was? If you could do that, it would be a great achievement. But if you could achieve that, you know what, I'm going to make the people forget Sultan Muhammad al-Fatih. I'm going to give him a new name that they will remember. He's going to achieve bigger and better things, or she's going to achieve bigger and better things. Can we make that as a goal for ourselves? And here's my question to the young people here. All the young brothers here that are in school, college, young professionals. Can you be that Sultan Muhammad al-Fatih? This is what our ummah needs. Can you be that legendary leader who brings a vision which is 10 miles long? When you say, what do you want to achieve? He says, I want to achieve this and this and this and this and this and this. You say, wow, that's really big, man. Say, you know what? You think that it's too small, you're going to be in the back. But I'm going to work hard towards it. You know what my goal is for this community? Is that I wish that we have a Jummah every day. What does that mean? There are some masajid, I've seen some in Dallas, where if you go to Salat al-Isha, you feel like you came to Jummah. This is my goal. My goal is that we have packed parking problems every night at Salat al-Isha. That if you come late, you can't find parking. That is my goal. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us tawfiq to fulfill this goal, this dream that we have. And my goal is that I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give this community an Islamic school. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow our children a safe environment in their school to grow up with Islamic values. Can you imagine if Sultan Muhammad al-Fatih went to a Christian school? He was growing up in a Catholic high school, which was one of the best one of the best academic education in mathematics and astronomy and this and that. But where will his values be? This is something for us to think about. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us acceptance of our goals. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us a tawfiq to bring the reviver of this ummah. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He accept us as helpers in that revival of the ummah. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to use us for the help and the assistance of His deen. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد نبيك وعبدك ورسولك اللهم صل عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه وأزواجه وذرياته أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين وقال ربكم ادعوني أستجب لكم إن الذين يستكبرون عن عبادتي سيدخلون جهنم داخلين اللهم ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم اللهم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار اللهم لا تدع لنا في مجلسنا هذا ذنبا إلا غفرته ولا دينا إلا قضيته ولا دينا إلا قضيته ولا مريضا إلا شفيته ولا ميتا إلا رحمته ولا أيما إلا زوجته ولا عقيما إلا رزقته ذرية صالحة ولا داعيا إلى سبيلك إلا هديته وهديت به ولا مجاهدا في سبيلك إلا أعنته ونصرته وثبته يا رب العالمين. Before I finish, I have one more goal. I have one more dream. My dream is that everybody would come on time to Jummah. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. أقيموا الصلاة.